Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the last Haydn Symphony Crusade. And today we're talking about Symphony B in B-flat major. A was also in B-flat major. And, it's Symphony B, sometimes known as number 108. Like Symphony A, it's a very, very early work. From the 1750s, most likely. Haydn composed it undoubtedly for his first patron, Count Morzin, for whom he wrote his first batch of symphonies. And it's a curious work, an intriguing work. If you look at the Haydn website, the Haydn edition website, I don't know, there's this Haydn edition website that I look at periodically. Oh, they trash this piece. And the reason they trash it is because the outer movements are extremely slender. The first movement lasts barely 3 minutes. The finale, barely 2.5 minutes. But the inner movements are wonderful, fascinating. And so there isn't anything wrong with Haydn experimenting a little bit and writing a symphony where you have light, zippy outer movements and really sort of profound inner movements. The minuet is placed second. That makes the slow movement, which is third, the real emotional heart of the symphony. And it's incredibly beautiful, wistful, and mysterious. I think it will haunt you for days. I really do. It's an incredible little movement, tiny thing. Again, less than 3 minutes long. The minuet is the longest movement in the entire symphony. And so the balance is quite different from what we find in other classical symphonies and for what the rules are supposed to be for classical symphonies. But remember, those rules didn't exist when Haydn was writing these things. He made the rules. He made the procedures, which were later codified as rules. Haydn knew nothing from rules, and taken on its own for just what it is, this is a delightful, intriguing work with some real emotional heartstrings that get tugged on periodically. So we're going to listen to virtually the whole symphony. Without repeats, we can really hear the whole thing, actually, all the basic material, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. You'll hear what I'm talking about immediately. Now, the first movement, we're going to play the whole first movement without repeats. That's going to make it, like 1 minute and 20 seconds long, 1.5 minutes long. It's kind of amazing. And the cool thing about this first movement is that not only is it incredibly short and incredibly zippy, and Haydn unifies the whole symphony, at least everything but the slow movement, which doesn't have wind parts, by the use of woodwind instruments, especially horns and oboes, and also the bassoon, because the symphony calls for a solo bassoon, which was also quite unusual at this time in Haydn's output. So when he does something like that, you know to pay attention, because something's going to happen, and something does. But in any case, the first movement, what I think is kind of fascinating about it is that the exposition, which usually presents two subjects, has no second subject at all. It really doesn't. It gains a second subject in the recapitulation. But of course, by then, it's not in a contrasting key. It's in your home key. It's a very, very unusual little movement, even though it's over lickety-split. So let me just play it for you. The second subject that it gains is just some rising scales. It goes up, like that. You'll hear it. You'll hear it very, very clearly. So even here, the point of that isn't that it's like some miraculous, incredible thing. The point of this is that even at this early stage, Haydn is doing unexpected things. He's trying things out. He's surprising us, which so much of his music, so much great music, is about just that. It's about doing something unexpected and surprising without sounding silly or gratuitous. And Haydn is never silly and gratuitous. Silly, yes. Gratuitous, no, not. So here is Adam Fischer with the Austro-Hungarian Haydn Orchestra on Nimbus, or Brilliant Classics, if you got that version of it, with the entire first movement shorn of its repeats. Here you go. Did you hear that tiny little second subject at the very end, just before the end? If you didn't, go back and listen to it again. It's only 1 minute and 20 seconds long. What have you got to lose? You got something else to do? Something that's like more important? I can't believe it. So that's the first movement. And it's just light and fizzy, and it has brilliant writing for the horns and the oboes, which is, like I said, characteristic of all these movements. It's a timbral clue that tells us which work we're dealing with. Now, the second movement, as I pointed out, is the minuet. And this minuet is rather lengthy. It's over 3 minutes long. It's the biggest movement in the entire symphony. And it's, again, awfully interesting. You have wonderful, wonderful writing for the horns and oboes in the call and response opening theme. And the piece is pretty extended, somewhat developmental, and it wants to go into, it's not just a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It wants to become more lyrical. It hints at that. It really does. And that lyricism is going to sort of penetrate the rest of the symphony as we go. So let me play you the entire A section of the minuet without repeats, and you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. Really a lovely, lovely work. Now, the trio section is even more interesting. The trio section is, Haydn was always writing wonderful middle sections of his minuets, and he always made them sound somehow interesting. And this is really interesting. This features a solo bassoon. It's got a lot of repeated notes in it, but somehow it has this exotic, almost, almost, I like to say a Russian quality. It's the bassoon, like Borodin's in the steppes of Central Asia, the bassoon going do 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 do. I don't know. There's something that seems almost romantic about it, probably because it has some sort of ethnic character to it. I mean, Hungarian, Croatian, who knows what it was, but there's something about this that gives it so much personality, even in its simplicity. And I'm playing you the whole thing with repeats because it's just wonderful. I mean, it's just worth listening to over and over and over. So here is the whole trio section, middle section of the second movement, which is the minuet. Now we come to the heart of the symphony. It's an andante. It begins as a canon in 3 parts. You might think it's like going to be a fugue or something. It's not. It's a canon in 3 parts, a minor key, wistful, almost heartbreaking tune. Really shocking emotionally after everything that we've just heard. It really is. And then after that, there's a major key theme, a second subject, if you want to call it, if you're talking sonata form type thing. And that has this just melting sequence. Ya ba ba da 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 ba 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 ba. It's so beautiful and timeless. You know, the whole movement's like that. It exists in its own realm, and the structure of the movement is first theme, second theme, both repeated, and then they go backwards. Second theme, first theme, both repeated, and that's it. And then it's over. I mean, the structure is perfect, the balance is perfect, the form is beyond simplicity, and the actual thematic material is incredibly moving. I can't even begin to explain it. It's so lovely. So here is the entire movement without the repeats. So what you're going to hear is A, B, B, A. Right? Not too complicated. But it just goes straight to the heart. It's an extraordinary little movement. And, nobody mentions it. Nobody talks about this symphony. The A's and the B's, particularly symphonies A and B, get totally dissed because they didn't make it into the initial numbering. So people don't quite know what to make of them. And it's very easy to, jump all over them and disrespect them for no reason at all. But when you hear this particular movement and this particular symphony, I mean, how can you say that it's a superficial work, or that it's, doesn't contain flickers of greatness? I mean, I listen to it and I rest my case. Here it is, the Andante. Now, the finale, we're going to hear the whole finale because it's, 2 minutes and 39 seconds in this performance. It's so delightful. It's full of also repeated notes. Remember the repeated notes in the Scherzo? Well, here are some repeated notes. Haydn is trying to put the various pieces of his symphony together in various ways. You've got the timbres of the horns and oboes and bassoon. You've got the repeated note figures, and there's something else. But I want you to hear the whole movement first. I want you to just listen to this movement and let me know. Well, you can't let me know, but think about what you're hearing in the quiet parts. Here it is. that wonderful little part, that little quiet solo violin, which is not written for a solo violin, by the way. That's one of Fischer's, sort of mannerisms, is to give solo violins things to do in odd places. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You get the point. All of a sudden it goes, yeah, da da dum, ba da da dum, da 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 dum, just for a couple of seconds. But that little phrase is that wonderful melting sequence from the slow movement that we just heard. Maybe it wasn't intentional. I don't know. But that's it. It actually quotes the previous movement, which I think is just marvelously, fabulously cool. And here is, just for your own, just so you can compare them, the slow movement and then the fast version of basically the same sequence as it occurs in the finale. You may notice it, you may not notice it. I'm not sure what Haydn's intentions were, but I'm so happy it's there. I can't even begin to tell you. There's something about this curious little symphony that touches me. I don't know if it's going to do the same for you, but it works for me. And it makes a wonderful, wonderful place to end the Haydn Symphony Crusade. It's the last symphony we're going to cover, and I can't even begin to express my delight in all of the wonderful, wonderful music that I've had the honor to discover and discuss with you. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.